you're thinking you're getting a genuine leather bag here with this particular style, you're not. It is made from a monogrammed canvas.
It's official. Louis Vuitton is being dragged into court, and this time it's not over runway drama or fashion faux pas. A group of angry customers are reportedly suing the luxury giant, claiming they were sold fake handbags at full designer prices. The lawsuit alleges that some of these pricey LV bags were actually made in China, not in the elite European ateliers the brand is known for. To make things even messier, leaked reports from Chinese manufacturers have surfaced, claiming they've been producing bags for Louis Vuitton for years.
Louis Vuitton has many Chinese suppliers, but they just don't admit it.
Meanwhile, Bernard Arnault, CEO of LVMH and one of the richest men alive, has strongly denied any association with Chinese production.
We try to be following the rules in every country we operate. And in China, we are not producing anything.
But that denial only adds fuel to the especially when you consider what's at stake. The iconic Louis Vuitton monogram isn't just a logo. It's a global symbol of luxury, craftsmanship, and status. Millions around the world save up for months, even years, to purchase that coveted bag with the interlocking LV. But what if that bag, purchased from an official Louis Vuitton store, is actually fake? It sounds impossible, right? A luxury brand charging you thousands for counterfeits of their own products? Well, buckle up, because we're about to expose one of the fashion industry's most shocking scandals. In 2021, a shocking case rocked the luxury world and exposed what might be Louis Vuitton's dirtiest secret. A Chinese customer named Miss Luo purchased a Vaugirard handbag and a small accessory from the official Louis Vuitton boutique in Changsha IFS luxury shopping mall. The total price? A staggering 22,350 renminbi, approximately $3,350 USD. Something about the bag didn't feel right to Miss Luo when she got home. The craftsmanship, the materials, something was owed. So she did what any suspicious customer might do. She had it authenticated by a third party. The China Inspection and Certification Group Hunan Company examined the bag and made a shocking discovery. The bag was a fake. Let that sink in. A counterfeit bag, sold by an official Louis Vuitton store for full price. Miss Luo didn't just accept this outrageous deception. She took Louis Vuitton to court and won. The Furong District Court in Changsha ruled in her favor, ordering Louis Vuitton to not only refund the full purchase price, but also pay an additional 3 times that amount as compensation. The total payout? A whopping 89,400 renminbi, about $13,400 USD. This wasn't just a small claims case. This was a major blow to one of the world's most prestigious luxury brands. Louis Vuitton tried to deny everything, of course. They claimed they've never sold any fake goods through its own retail network, and even appealed the court's decision. But the evidence was clear enough for the Chinese court system to side with the customer. This case blew up on social media, with luxury shoppers worldwide suddenly questioning their own purchases. How many other fake bags are being sold as authentic through Louis Vuitton's social channels? But here's the wild part. This wasn't an isolated incident. In 2019, a Louis Vuitton sales associate at their Guangzhou, China boutique was implicated in a counterfeiting scheme. This employee was allegedly selling unreleased handbag designs to counterfeiters, who would then produce fake versions to hit the market simultaneously with the authentic release. The associate probed it twice, once from selling the designs to counterfeiters, and again by earning commissions on legitimate sales. It makes you wonder, how deep does this corruption go? And what does it say about the luxury industry as a whole when even the most prestigious brands can't guarantee the authenticity of their own products? Multiple sources within the luxury industry have confirmed that this kind of insider corruption is more common than brands want to admit. Former Louis Vuitton employee Shelly Alvarado, who worked at a California store from 2009 to 2014, revealed that STA were trained to identify fake bags using specific protocols. When customers would bring in counterfeit items, employees were instructed to tell them the item was not Louis Vuitton product, rather than directly calling it fake to avoid confrontations. But what happens when the fakes are coming from inside the house? When you look at the numbers, the incentive for internal fraud becomes clear. Louis Vuitton has one of the highest markup rates in the luxury industry. In 2022, LVMH, Louis Vuitton's parent company, reported a profit margin of nearly 27%, among the highest in the retail sector. With that kind of money at stake, it's no wonder that counterfeiting has become a billion-dollar industry. The truth is, the entire luxury industry has a dirty secret, and in early 2025, Chinese manufacturers decided they'd had enough of the charade. A wave of viral TikTok videos emerged, claiming to expose the manufacturing processes of luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Prada, and Hermes. And one video by the account at Handbags too garnered millions of views, asserting that 80% of luxury handbags are made in China, regardless of their labeled country of origin. The shocking allegations sent shockwaves through social media, and left luxury brands scrambling to control the narrative. These Chinese manufacturers didn't just make vague claims, they brought receipts. They showed detailed breakdowns of costs, materials, and production techniques, insisting that they use exactly the same components as the major luxury brands. And they didn't stop there. They alleged that many of them were actually the original manufacturers for these brands, producing goods that would later be shipped to Europe for nail assembly and labeling. Louis Vuitton has long claimed that their products are predominantly made in France, with some manufacturing in Italy, Spain, Switzerland, and the United States. The brand heavily markets its French heritage and craftsmanship as justification for their premium pricing. They have workshops like the historic Asnières-sur-Seine facility, which they showcase as the heart of their artisanal tradition. But industry insiders have long whispered about a direct reality, one where components are sourced globally and assembled in various locations before receiving the coveted Made in France label. Under European Union regulations, a product can be labeled as made in a particular country, even if substantial portions of its manufacturing occurred elsewhere, as long as the last substantial transformation took place in the claimed country of origin. So how much truth is there to these claims? And how can you know for sure that the Louis Vuitton bag you're buying, even from an Auchan store, is actually authentic? Let's take a step back and examine what's really happening in the luxury handbag industry. When you walk into a Louis Vuitton store, you're not just buying a bag. You're buying into a carefully crafted image. The elegant boutiques, the attentive style, the prestige of the LV monogram. It's all part of an experience designed to justify prices that have been steadily climbing year after year. The sales associates, dressed impeccably, treat each item with reverence, carefully handling bags with gloved hands, presenting them on velvet trays, wrapping them in custom dust bags. It's a performance designed to make you believe that what you're purchasing is worth every penny of the thousands you're about to spend. But behind the glossy facade, there's a troubling reality that the luxury giants don't want you to see. The bags that you're told represent the pinnacle of craftsmanship might have more humble origins than you've been led to believe. In early 2025, a Chinese manufacturer posted a TikTok that went viral worldwide, pulling back the curtain on the true costs of producing these coveted items. The video claimed to show the exact same materials used by Hermes to make their famous Birkin bags, which retail for up to $38,000. The manufacturer then proceeds to break down every component: $450 for Togo leather, $25 for premium thread, $150 for hardware, $50 for edge oil, $100 for interior lining, $10 for the zipper, $600 for labor, and $10 for packaging. Let that sink in for a moment. A bag that costs $1,400 to make is being sold for $38,000. That's a markup of over 2,600%. And while this video focused on Hermes, industry experts con on the same markup principles apply across luxury brands, including Louis Vuitton. The production cost for most Louis Vuitton bags is estimated to be between 10 to 15% of their retail price. That means when you pay $3,000 for a handbag, the actual materials and labor might cost just $300, $450. The rest is pure prop, marketing, and the value of that interlocking LV logo. Social media exploded with discussions, with one Reddit post on R. Louis Vuitton about the TikToks garnering 113 votes and 132 comments. These claims resonated with consumers already skeptical about the value proposition of luxury goods. In response to the growing controversy, Louis Vuitton appeared to release footage of their French factory, likely showcasing artisans at the historic workshop in Asnières-sur-Seine. Videos with titles like "Louis Vuitton finally shows their factory in France after being exposed by Chinese manufacturers" began circulating on YouTube in May 2025, suggesting the brand was attempting to counter the allegations. The timing was suspicious. Why would a company with nothing to hide suddenly feel the need to showcase their manufacturing processes? If Louis Vuitton's products were truly made entirely in France, as they've long claimed, why hadn't they been more transparent about their production methods before these allegations surfaced? While no official statement from Louis Vuitton was found, the release of factory footage aligns with the brand's strategy to counter misinformation and restore consumer trust. The Asnières-sur-Seine workshop, described in a Condé Nast Traveler article as a hub of meticulous craftsmanship, is a logical choice for such a showcase. The workshop is also open to visitors, as noted in TripAdvisor reviews, which describe it as a fantastic working factory for high-end goods and trunks. But was this response enough to restore consumer trust? And more importantly, did it address the underlying issue of counterfeit bags somehow making their way into Auchan Louis Vuitton stores? The 2021 Changsha case raises disturbing questions about quality control and potential internal corruption within Louis Vuitton's retail network. If a fake bag could be sold at full price in an Auchan boutique, what does that say about the brand's authentication processes? Louis Vuitton claims to have robust anti-counterfeiting measures. The company manages over 18,000 intellectual property rights, including trademarks and designs, with support from 250 agents worldwide. Approximately half of its communications budget is allocated to anti-counterfeiting efforts, including legal actions and investigations. The company has been aggressive in pursuing legal action against counterfeiters. In 2003, 2 individuals were arrested for selling over $200,000 worth of fake Louis Vuitton handbags online, charged with conspiracy, mail fraud, and trademark infringement. In 2011, 3 Canadian companies were nabbed $2.5 million for selling counterfeit Louis Vuitton and Burberry handbags. In 2019, the U.S. International Trade Commission ruled in Louis Vuitton's favor against Chinese and U.S. companies manufacturing and importing fake handbags. In 2023, Louis Vuitton sued Westgate Discount Mall in Atlanta for allowing tenants to sell counterfeit goods, resulting in the seizure of over 72,000 fake Louis Vuitton items. But despite these measures, counterfeits continue to proliferate, and sometimes, as the Changsha case proves, they can infiltrate the official supply chain. The implications are staggering. If you can't trust that the bag you're buying from an official Louis Vuitton store is authentic, where can you turn? And how many other customers might have purchased counterfeit products without ever realizing it? Louis Vuitton's response to the Changsha incident was telling. Rather than addressing the potential systemic issues, they denied selling counterfeit products and appealed the court's decision. A blog post about Louis Vuitton's factory codes reveals that items marked with codes like A denote production in Asnières-sur-Seine, France, while other codes indicate manufacturing in countries including Spain, Italy, and the United States. But how many customers actually know how to read these codes? And how many would be surprised to learn that their French handbag was actually made elsewhere? But here's where it gets even murkier. Louis Vuitton handbags produced before March 2021 lacked traceability codes, relying only on date codes, also known as year codes or serial number. This limitation complicated efforts to verify authenticity in cases like the Changsha incident, as the absence of a unique identifier made it harder for Louis Vuitton to prove the bag's legitimacy. Take this review of a Louis Vuitton bag from a YouTuber who specializes in luxury goods. Despite not being made of leather, this bag still commands a premium price. Conrad Quilty Harper, author of the Dark Luxury newsletter, suggested that the viral TikTok videos were likely produced by counterfeit or dupe manufacturers aiming to capitalize on the confusion caused by recent trade tensions. But regardless of their origin, these videos have struck a chord with consumers who are increasingly questioning the value proposition of luxury goods. The 2021 Changsha counterfeit case remains a particularly troubling example of how even the most prestigious brands can face integrity issues. The incident triggered a significant backlash, with many customers returning to the Changsha IFS boutique to have their Louis Vuitton products authenticated, reacting a temporary erosion of consumer trust in the brand's retail network. One luxury industry consultant, speaking anonymously due to ongoing relationships with LVMH brands, told us the luxury industry has operated for decades on the premise that their products are inherently superior and worth the premium price. When cases like the Changsha incident emerge, it doesn't just damage one brand, it makes consumers question the entire luxury paradigm. The Changsha case isn't the only example of this problem. According to luxury fashion commentator Jacob, similar incidents have occurred elsewhere. The rise of super fakes, counterfeit products of such high quality that they're difficult to distinguish from authentic items, has made the problem even more challenging. These sophisticated counterfeits use materials and manufacturing techniques that closely mimic genuine luxury goods, making detection increasingly difficult, even for trained professionals. The Chinese manufacturers who have been exposing the true costs of luxury goods have taken their message a step further. In one viral video, a manufacturer shows a crocodile leather bags that he claims use identical materials to Hermes Birkins but sell for a fraction of the price. These videos raise uncomfortable questions about the value proposition of luxury goods. If identical materials and craftsmanship can be obtained for a tenth of the price, what exactly are consumers paying for when they purchase a Louis Vuitton or Hermes bag? The broader implications for consumers are significant. When you purchase a luxury item, you're not just paying for the materials and craftsmanship, you're paying for the brand's reputation, the shopping experience, and the social status associated with owning that item. If any of these elements come into question, it fundamentally alters the value proposition. As one fashion commentator put it, luxury was always built on trust. You trusted that the Louis Vuitton bag you bought was made with superior materials by skilled artisan. You trusted that it would last for years, maybe even generations. When that trust is broken, whether through counterfeit products or misleading claims about manufacturing, the entire concept of luxury begins to crumble. So where does this leave Louis Vuitton and the luxury industry as a whole? In May 2025, CEO Bernard Arnault made a rare public statement addressing manufacturing questions. This explicit denial of Chinese production was clearly aimed at countering the viral TikTok claim. But for many consumers, the damage was already done. The veil had been lifted, revealing glimpses of an industry built on markups that often exceed 1,000% and marketing narratives that don't always align with reality. The Chinese manufacturers' videos shed light on another disturbing aspect of the luxury industry: the claim that some of these factories actually used to produce for the very brands they're now exposing. If true, this would mean that luxury brands have been outsourcing production to Chinese factories all along, while marketing their products as exclusively European-made. It would also explain why some counterfeit bags are virtually indistinguishable from the real thing. They're being made in the same factories, by the same artisans, using the same material. This revelation challenges the fundamental narrative that luxury brands have built their reputations on. If a $38,000 Hermes Birkin bag costs only $1,400 to produce, and if identical materials and craftsmanship are available from Chinese manufacturers for a fraction of the price, what exactly are consumers paying for? The answer, of course, is the brand name, the logo, the status symbol. But as these revelations continue to spread, more and more consumers are questioning whether that premium is just. One thing is certain: the days of blindly trusting luxury brands are over. Consumers are asking harder questions, demanding more accountability, and looking beyond the glossy marketing to understand what they're really paying for. The question now is whether Louis Vuitton and its luxury peers can regain consumer trust, or if the industry as we know it is due for a fundamental transformation. The truth about luxury manufacturing goes even deeper than most consumers realize. When we look at Louis Vuitton's global production network, we and a complex web of facilities spanning multiple continents. While the company maintains its historic workshop in Asnières-sur-Seine, France, they've expanded manufacturing to various locations worldwide. In 2018, Louis Vuitton announced plans to open new factories in France, ostensibly to meet growing demand, but at the same time, they were quietly expanding production elsewhere. In 2019, they opened a controversial factory in Texas, raising questions about what made in France really means for the brand. A Business of Fashion article highlighted concerns about this American manufacturing facility, noting that it challenged the brand's European heritage narrative. Meanwhile, Reuters reported in 2025 that the Texas factory was facing production challenges, suggesting that maintaining quality standards across global operations isn't as straightforward as Louis Vuitton might claim. This globalization of production makes it even more plausible that counterfeit goods could infiltrate the ocean supply chain. With components moving between facilities and countries, opportunities for substitution or fraud multiply. It also makes it harder for consumers to know the true origin of their purchases. The Chinese manufacturer who went viral with his breakdown of luxury goods costs wasn't just making claims. He was actively promoting his own products as alternatives. In one particularly bold segment, he directly addresses potential customers. He even claims to have major customers placing bulk orders. This narrative raises uncomfortable questions about the distinction between counterfeits and unauthorized production using authentic materials. If these Chinese factories are indeed using identical materials from the same suppliers as luxury brands, are their products truly fake, or are they just unauthorized? And if the quality is indistinguishable, what exactly are consumers paying for when they buy from luxury boutiques? According to luxury industry commentator Jacob, the alleged counterfeit bag from the Changsha case presented a real conundrum for Louis Vuitton. If Louis Vuitton has implemented these sophisticated tracking technologies, how did a counterfeit slip through their system? And if they can't verify the authenticity of their own products, how can consumers be expected to do so? According to The Independent, these manufacturers were capitalizing on trade tensions to promote the luxury industry is built on a simple premise, that their products are worth the premium price because they represent the pinnacle of quality, craftsmanship, and design. But cases like the Changsha incident challenge this narrative, suggesting that what consumers are really paying for is just the logo, a symbol of status rather than inherent value. If you enjoyed watching this video, then go ahead and click on any of the cards on your screen for more.